Hi guys, it's Allie, and I finally sat down and read Alexandra Bracken's sequel to The Darkest Minds, Never Fade. Hey guys, it's been a while, but I'm back with a book review. And I realized that I have never done a book review. I have never done a book review for The Darkest Minds, which is just absurd. Obs, guys, that's ridiculous. Darkest Minds, really quick, snappy review. Basically, The Darkest Minds is set in a fictional America where this plague has broke out and affected kids. I want to say the oldest is, the cutoff is like 18 or something. And they've left these kids with abilities, and the President Gray, has sent them to rehabilitation camps. Concentration camps? Really? Let's be honest, Gray. Let's be honest. That's what's happening here. They divide the kids up by their abilities, and they sort it according to color. So going from least threatening to most threatening, there are greens, which are basically like geniuses. They're good with puzzles, all that kind of stuff. Then there's yellows, who can conduct electricity. And blues, who can move things with their mind. Can we just think about that for a second? Like, have you ever really wanted that when you're on the couch and there's just something across the room? And you just need to pick it up, but it's so far away. God, that'd be so wonderful. Anyways, and then there's reds, who can conjure fire and whatnot. And then lastly, there are oranges, who can basically go into your mind and influence you. They can make you want to do something, think something, erase a memory, input a new memory, make you think you're somewhere else. It's crazy, and that is what our main character Ruby is. So she's in one of these camps. She gets broken out by a rebel group called the Children's League, and then she breaks off from them and meets some kids driving a van and going to find a place called Eastlake, which is like a safe haven for kids with all these abilities. I think it's like PSI or Psy? Who's to say? They are looking for this place, and these kids are Liam, Chubbs, and Zoo. And that's basically the gist of what's going on in The Darkest Minds. And The Darkest Minds is so good. If you have not picked it up yet, what are you doing with your time? Pick it up. It is so worth the read. It's like not what I expected at all. I expected like action-packed thriller, which granted there was some action going on in it. But otherwise, it was mostly character development, and I loved that. There were such distinct, unique, like really interesting characters to read, and I got really attached to them, and I really liked them. So, Darkest Minds is great. That was my quick little 3-minute review of The Darkest Minds. So now here's what y'all came for, and that would be good old Never Fade. So if you haven't read The Darkest Minds or Never Fade, this video will be chalked up with tons of spoilers, all the spoilers ever. So unless you're one of those people who just like spoilers, which I don't get, but hey, I can't make your choices. It's your life, bro. So if that's what you want to do, go for it. Please don't go for it. Don't ruin it for yourself. If you haven't read them, just go read it and then come back. Just do that. Do that for yourself. Spoiler alert. That's all the warning I'm gonna give you guys. Never Fade picks up a few months after Darkest Minds left off, and we all know how Darkest Minds left off. It left me an emotional wreck. And that was when Ruby was taking herself out of all of Liam's memories so she could go off to work with the Children's League, and he wouldn't remember her so he could follow her, because she knows that he hates the League, and she would hate to see him be brainwashed by the League before her eyes. So she thinks it's better to give him a fresh slate. So this takes up a few months after that, and Ruby is on an op with the League, and there's Rob, Mr. Killing a Bunch of Children, because we don't need them, and they're a mess. Oh my god, you are a horrible person, Rob. Thank you for nothing. Ruby is on this this off and they're trying to get some prisoners back, and she's with this chick named Vita, a new character, who basically has beef with everyone. She has issues with the world, and I kind of love her. And basically, Rob sets off this grenade that's meant to kill Ruby and Vita, but they escape and retrieve one of the prisoners. Ruby pulls off the bag, and to reveal it is Liam! Just kidding, no it isn't. Oh my gosh, Bracken, you're killing me here. It was Liam's brother Cole, another new character, who was really fishy to me, his motives when he's sending Ruby out on this op to go find Liam and retrieve this flash drive that will convince Albin, the leader of the Children's League, to start working back on liberating the children from the camps. And so I was like, that's real sketch. What's really going on here? But Cole later won my trust, and I grew to love him. Things that I thought really worked in Never Fade, I really liked how the emotional trauma of the previous book was carried through into this one. Mainly what Ruby did to Liam. All that pain and confusion and angst that she has received from her experiences in her childhood, as well as just in what happened in the Darkest Minds, carried through and was still haunting her in Never Fade. So I really liked that consistency. The plot twists were super unexpected, which I liked. They were really fresh. For example, Clancy coming in at the end, didn't think, when she was going to meet this person and on the chatter, it's like, oh yeah, actually JK, come meet me in, what was it, like, it was like Colorado? Yeah, it was like, come meet me in Colorado so I can escort you to California. Obviously, I'm like, that's not Kate, but who is that? I have no idea. It was Clancy. Didn't think that. Maybe that was really expected to a bunch of you other people. Not to me. I didn't, nope, no red flags. So that was really fresh, and his connection with Nico and the League and how he's gonna be getting all this information all the time. Clancy's a horrible person. He drives me insane. Anyways, but I really like his character anyways, just because he's such a horrible, manipulative, layered character, which is fun to see. Cole is a red! What? Like, no clue. Like, we think he's lighting a match at the end when they're all fighting the people in the League headquarters, the bad League people, and that's all happening, and then it's Cole. It's like, what? He's a red, and he's an adult. You start to wonder, like, a lot of these adults, do they have abilities? Does President Gray have abilities? I just think that opens a lot of doors for really interesting plot twists in the future. Another thing that I adored about Never Fade was the new set of characters. They were all really, especially Vita has to be my favorite of the new characters. Like I said earlier, she has beef with everyone. She has issues, but she's so funny. She's so sarcastic and strong in that really typical, like, badass way, but just, she's so awesome. And she says some things that are really just like, Vita, stop. But you're also, like, dying inside because she's hilarious. Like, this one point after they find Liam, and he's talking about this one time when Cole, like, stuck his head in a fence or something like that, and she's like, oh, did you lose an ear? And he's like, no, I no, or whatever he says, and then she's like, well, then no one wants to hear your dumbass story. I'm like, Vita, she's just so funny. Jude is so, I love Jude. All the characters have these problems, these scars that they've experienced in this world, and he's such that light, sweet piece of innocence, and I just adore him. Another thing, the pacing was amped up in this one. It was a lot faster, and part of me was a little nostalgic for Darkest Minds because it was slower, more character-centered, but also, being that this is a sequel, the amped up pacing worked very well and was needed because the stakes are being raised. We're rushing towards that big revolution, that big conclusion that we will, most likely see in the third book. So the amped up pacing was definitely something that we needed in there, and I thought she did that very well. A few things that were frustrating, Ruby's decisions. The more I read the book, I started to think, why did she have to take her memories out of Liam? It's like, I get what she was going for, but at the same time, it's like, you just made everything worse, and also you don't have the right to take Liam's memories from him and screw up his mind so that it will never be exactly as it was before. Like, it is permanently screwed up and damaged. Also, the ending felt kind of Catching Fire-esque with the bombing and President Gray getting shot, but then just kidding, he wasn't shot. That was a little Catching Fire-esque, so I was like, it was a little unoriginal and not extremely surprising of an end. But it still worked. Granted, it still worked with the story, and it set out a lot of high stakes stuff for the last final book. Other things I really liked in this book that I thought worked: Ruby's badassery with Knox, and how she basically just took all his memories and everyone just on their knees, like, terrified of her. I was like, you go, Ruby. Like, she's always so afraid of her abilities, so those moments when she actually does take advantage of them, she's just so awesome. Chubbs and Vita were paired a lot together. Do you think that is gonna be a thing? Because I'm kind of feeling that. I love how she always calls him Granny. That'd be really funny if they ended up as a couple. And then another thing, totally unrelated to that, the red sector, like, Clancy and Gray have developed this red sector of the government that they train them for their purposes. And it's just so sick to me that they would take these kids that they're supposed to be helping cure this disease, but then they use them for their means. And just seeing that one red in the initiation of, with that blue tribe when Vita and Ruby had to fight it, and just seeing what they have done to this poor child, it just blows my mind. But I thought that was a really interesting thing to kind of throw in there and make you more hateful of Gray and his government. Lastly, the ending. Classic Alexandra Bracken, rip your heart out, when Jude got caught in the rubble and the bombing of the League headquarters. Just like, no, why did you have to kill Jude? Of all the people, they've all lost so much, and he's that one, like, really sweet, kind person who just brightens everyone's day, and now he's dead. I mean, granted, he could come back, like, Chubbs got shot, but then he got healed. I mean, maybe, but also at the same time, for the sake of realism, I'm hoping he doesn't, but maybe he got away. But it's just like ripped my heart out when Ruby was talking about how he shouldn't have to be alone and in the dark, and he hates the dark, and she was feeling so guilty. I felt all her pain. Like, I felt like I was Ruby and right in that situation with her. So she did it again. She tore our hearts out at the end, and now it's over and we have to wait another year. Please share your thoughts in the comments down below. I can't wait to see what you guys all thought about it. And how pumped are you for the last one and the completion of the sentence? The darkest minds never fade away, to dust, to black, to death? I do not know. Keep on reading, guys. Bye! Oh, wait, side note. Oh my gosh, okay. So I found this thing on Google. Is this not the cutest thing? Liam. Okay. Keep on reading, guys. Bye!